yet? Nope, now we are. Welcome to this month's virtual user group. We're going to be talking about beautifying your Backdrop site. And if anybody's watching live, I apologize for the late start. We thought we were all ready and suddenly are having technical difficulties. So I'm gonna, first we had technical difficulties with our stream, and now I'm having it with my local environment. So I'm gonna do a few things live that I thought I had prepped before we were gonna start, but anyways, let's first let me just, so we've got 4 of us here. Does anybody want to introduce themselves besides myself? I'm Tim. I'm with Triplo, active in the Backdrop community, and been doing Drupal for a long time. Gregory, do you want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, my name is Greg. I'm originally from Greece. I'm currently in Australia. This is where I work for a digital agency. We work with the enterprise and government. And I am not a web developer per se. My original job is a computer engineer, but there was a career shift about 2.5 years ago. I am a long-time Drupal enthusiast. Like my Drupal account, I think, is 12 or 13 years old. I've been working with Backdrop since almost the day the project was announced, and I am very proud to be a member of the project management committee, and I am a constituent for the part of the user groups that are not coders necessarily, but site builders, the people that like to build their Drupal or now Backdrop sites using modules and barely touching code. Yeah, that's about me. Anyone else? Peter?
If you want to introduce yourself. And Peter was going to be in and out, so
yeah.
Curtis, it's optional for you if you'd like to introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Kurt Trout. I'm only Curtis if you're mad at me.
Okay. Wait.
I'm a complete newbie to Backdrop, but I think it's time to take a site that I've got under development and sort of scrap what I've got now and do it in Backdrop. I was particularly impressed. I looked at one of your dev sites that I caught the URL from in your last YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing a lot of stuff there that I've got a client that wants to do. It's a pro bono client, so I'm really interested in whatever I can learn.
Okay, yeah. Have you been using Drupal before or any other CMS?
Yes, I've been using Drupal for quite a while, but I'm a real small developer. I'm sort of like you. I try to avoid coding as much as I can, although I like the Omega theme and some other themes that have a characteristic like it, in that it gives me a global CSS file that I can modify at will. And I found that to be a good way to take and customize my sites. So I'm not afraid to write CSS, and if I have to, I'll write code, but I sure try not to.
Yep, I get that feeling. I know, I understand where you're coming from.
So Kurt's actually a member of our local user group, and I didn't recognize Curtis. So I didn't realize that's who we had on the line, but we're glad you could make it. I think that what I want to go over today is right up your alley, if we can get everything working right. Let me introduce, so the premise of the talk today is that I have been interested in, I think one of the things that Backdrop struggles with a bit is lack of, there's not a lot of contrib themes. And I think that it would be great if somebody could download or install Backdrop through a cPanel or something and sort of do more with it out of the box visually or sort of aesthetically. We've included a lot of features, content features and other things that make Backdrop CMS really powerful out of the box. But without, I find that without like a custom theme, that it's, well, that's a problem. And there are some things that we can do with that. I don't know if everybody is, aware of right away out of the box to make the site look better, just to modify it using basis. there are some other little things that I'm working on a contrib theme, and part of where this presentation came from was me experimenting. Well, what can I do and trying to figure out things with just contrib modules and out of the box, and what kinds of things, if I had a new theme, and I started working on a theme I'm calling Tatsu, T-A-T-S-U, that will add more capability in terms of sort of out of the box sort of tweaking of the theme, and what are the gaps that need to be filled. And I have been opening up some issues. So for the last week in particular, I've been looking at this pretty hard. I'm stalling a bit right now because I have a local site that I wanted to demo on, and it crashed right before we started. So I'm reinstalling it on, restarting it on Lando as we're talking.
Since we are on that subject theme, just to stall a little bit more, I saw the comments that you had and the trouble that you had with it involves altering the configuration when installing a theme. And I did a little bit of Googling, and I went back to some core issues in the Drupal.org for core. There were quite a few issues. For example, I don't think that .install files work with themes, and they fixed that. They addressed that in D8, but I didn't see any tag on the respective issue for backporting things to D7 and 8. I understand that because it would be an API breaking thing. I haven't explored if it would be possible to do it in Backdrop yet, as in we don't consider API additions to be breakages so long as they're backwards compatible. But there is a trail of at least 3 issues that were against the D8 queue. I'm in the middle of actually writing. I've been doing it for a day and a half because I'm doing other things, putting together a summary sort of like into an issue. And I think that there are a few things that have already been mentioned. For example, there was no way to trigger uninstall hooks when uninstalling themes. We fixed that in one of the previous versions for us. And also there's an issue about making only one theme enabled at a time or something equivalent. So we do have a few issues here and there. I just need to collate them in a single place. And we need to make sort of like some decisions with regards to that to make it easier. But the point is that what you were trying to do is fundamentally not possible as it is now. You have to do a little bit of magic in the theme thing.
Right. So if anybody's not following this discussion, once I have my live site, I can sort of show what I was trying to do, and Gregory's answer will make more sense. Part of what I was hoping to do today, Gregory, was actually to get some feedback on exactly that issue and maybe 1 or 2 more. My backdrop install should be just about done.
Yeah. Excuse me.
So, yeah, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and go live. We might as well record this.
No, we are already live.
No, I mean, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, yeah.
Let's share my entire screen. There we go. Okay. So you can watch me and do the final stages of setting up my. So I was going to I had some animal content set up, but now it's, we're not going to try to get that set up. So here we go. So this is, we're about to look at, I'm working again with Lando. I have Lando set up on my my local machine. And Peter shared a nice script about a week ago that allows me to take a snapshot, to get Lando running, do some configuration, take a snapshot, do a bunch of experiment, and then just run Lando reset, and it'll take me back to the snapshot, which is a really cool thing. I put a link in the Google Doc to that. But so this is Backdrop out of the box. And to be honest, so in the Google Doc, I have one of the things I did was a survey of all the available modules. And I think for somebody that just wants to like install a module and through the UI sort of tweak it, they're probably their best option right now until Tatsu's done is just basic. That comes with Backdrop out of the box. Some of the existing contrib modules, in my view, are good starter modules if you're going to customize them. Some of them are broken because they were developed quite a while ago and just never got quite finished. But I think Basis, is a good place to start. And so some of the frustrations I have right out of the box with Basis.
Sorry, Tim. Just to interrupt. You mentioned Basis twice for the initiated. This is the default theme. This is what we call it for Backdrop. Basis is the default theme that comes out of the box.
Yes, it's a default core theme, and it comes with the color module support, and which is probably the main thing. And we're going to look at that today. So, like right out of the box, one of the things that frustrates me a little bit is the background color on the title. And I'm not sure why that's there, but it's like when I open up a site like this, the first thing I want to do is I want to change that. And we can change that out of the box if we just go to Basis settings. We have color module support here, and there's a site name background, and I can click on that. Actually, what I need to do first is I want to make it match. And this is like kind of weird because like if I don't know exactly which color is being used in the header, I can't make the site name background exactly the same. And I'm actually going to change the header background color. And when I pick that, now I know what it is, so I can go to the site name background. And you have to click on this a couple of times and then click on that, and now that matches. We do have, there's some color schemes. Actually, I don't want to change that because that's going to back me up. I find this to be, I don't know if this is considered a bug, but watch this. If I save my theme settings, the color thing, that never goes away until I manually close it. That'll just stay there. So I don't know if there's a bug issue for that yet, or if that is a bug, but it seems a little bit weird to me.
You mean you expect to be redirected to the homepage and see your changes? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I expected that little color block, the modal window or the window that pops open to close at some point.
Okay.
To not just stay open forever.
Okay.
So like one of the things, and so here's another change we want to make. That's just kind of ugly. I'm going to quickly do that too. If we go back here, we want to do actually it's the header. I want to change that so the hover color is closer, is not quite so. And I can there we go. We can test that right up here. So got to close the color wheel. We'll save that. The next thing I wanted to do, and this is where in my contrib theme, I would like to, a lot of sites nowadays users aren't logging in. And so we don't really need the user menu up here. And frankly, I think I would like to move the main menu up here. And we can quickly do that. If you're not familiar with the layout system, pretty much everything in Backdrop is done with layouts and blocks now, or placement on the page. So for example, now I can go into the layouts, and on my home page, I can go up here to the, go to the header block. And in the header block, we have a number of configuration about what shows in the header, including whether the account menu or the primary. So I'm going to change account menu to primary navigation, update that. Oh, I'm going to do one other thing while I'm in there. I'm going to turn off the site slogan, which I'm not really using anyways, but I don't want that to appear. There's a second block in the header region that's called primary navigation. Well, I've just put primary navigation in the header, so I can get rid of that. Go down to the bottom and save the block. We can go back to the home page, and now I've got a little, more to me, a more useful sort of menu header. I can add I want to add a logo, which is going to make this look better. So I'm going to quickly go into the site information. I have a logo ready to go. We're going to reuse the drop the dragon. Ooh, requires me to add I don't know why. This seems weird that this didn't get added during install. I'll have to go back and play with that.
We intentionally removed that because there was a confusion, but there's an issue for it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I see the UX there. I'll file an issue to see what we can do about it.
Okay, and this happens to me sometimes. I don't know if I just needed to clear the cache there because, nope. And this could be a Lando problem. But I've done this a number of times, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, it's showing now that drop is there, and there's drop in the header. And here's like a little thing that I haven't made an issue for, but I think that the logo ought to be more centered. And so one of the things I'm trying to do with Tatsu, my theme, is there'll be a number of little things that as we try to tweak the site using the UI, that the basis theme just doesn't handle very well. And so Tatsu will try to address these. For example, I'm going to turn on my theme Tatsu in a little bit, and you'll see that the logo is a little better positioned in that. And it's probably something we could fix in basis. So there we go. So another thing I find that is like out of the box that you can do is play with these hero images. And here I'm going to show one other thing here, right? Is I just changed my menu for the front page. So again, if you're new to Backdrop, we have different layouts for different pages, and sort of out of the box, Backdrop opens with just a home page layout and then a default layout for everything else. And we can add some more layouts later, but I'm going to need to change that default layout as well. And I'll just quickly make the same changes, remove the primary navigation, come up here, change that to primary. And, I got a Google Hangouts prop.
You can resize your browser window. Or
yeah, true. I didn't just close I'm still screen sharing, ain't I?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So it was a little Google Hangouts window there that was telling me I was screen sharing that was in the way. So I fixed that. So now on any page, my menu should be the same. So the next thing I want to do is like, one of the easy things that in theory could happen, and I'm, so many sites today have this sort of a lot of blocks on the front page. Whether you like that or not, it's very common. And it's like, I want to be able to do that as a user out of the box, is take my front page and just create a front page that has a bunch of blocks on the front page. And we do have, if we go to our home page, layouts home page, we have and I'm going to go up here in for now, I think I have to do it in this region, in the page title region. But I'm going to show you what I'm getting. We have a hero block. And I have some images ready. So we can just grab a hero image. I don't want to put anything in it. I just want a big hero image. I'm going to go back home. So I get a hero image, but there's two things with it. One, I have no ability to affect the height. And two, it's also, it's lining up with the top of the image. It's not centering on that image. If I narrow my screen, the picture looks much better. but as I stretch out, it doesn't. I think these might be bugs in basis, which Tatsu is going to try to address. And we'll, again, load that in a minute. One of the things I also wanted to be able to do was to create just like a big text blocks with a custom background color. And there isn't really a way to do that out of the box. And here I'm going to go ahead and enable my first module. And this module is actually not, it's listed in the Google Doc. It's a potential contrib theme that Josef has helped me with, or that I should say he's done, that I think is called Configurable Block Style. And there's a link to the repo, but again, it's not on backdrop.org, or even it's not in the contrib space yet, but hopefully we'll get it there. Just waiting for that to install. And now we can go back to we got to go back to our layouts. Sorry. Homepage. I got a quick peek and make sure you're all still there. And create just a custom block. And I don't know, let's do it a call to action block. Donate here. And I'm going to make that a link to, I'm just going to put in Google. I just want to. And what this module does is add a configurable option here and lets us pick a custom background color. And I'm going to pick, I'm not going to be too, Beautify might not have been the right title for this session. I can also pick a fixed height, and I can say I want this image or this block to be 400 pixels. And do a save layout. Let's go back to the home page. So I've got my color background. I have a little bit of ability sort of out of the box with Backdrop to, right, I can make this a header. I can center it a bit in that block just by doing some, adding some spaces here, and I can center it. Why did I not save something?
Yep, they don't save that layout.
I didn't save the layout, that's right. We have to, when you changes to a block, you have to save the layout for those changes to take effect.
We have a UX issue for that to be fixed as well.
Right. So there we go. But one of the things, one of the problems I'm noticing with if I did do something like this out of the box is that we've got a gap here in the basis theme between these two hero blocks. And again, that's something that I've addressed in Tatsu. So if I turn on Tatsu, in fact, I don't know if now would be a good time to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Enable and set Tatsu as default. So we have, it solves, first of all, I'm going to try clearing the cache. That black box there has occurred on occasion, but not all the time. And I'm not sure what causes that. If that's a bug in my theme, it'll go away. But one thing we'll notice is that the logo is a little bit better centered right now in Tatsu. Also, these like hover states don't go up to the top, which wasn't good. I think that's a little bit more sensible behavior out of the box. These blocks butt up against each other very nice. They're not stretching across the page right now, but that is a matter of what region they're in. We need to use a hero region. And so what we're going to do is go back to layouts. And I'm going to change from Boxton to Boxton Hero, except that I'm afraid I'm going to lose. One of the things that happens, I found, right, is that you can lose some of these blocks, like custom blocks, when you're, and Gregory, you can tell me if there's.
Yep, I have an issue file for that as well.
Right. So this might work is if I put them in a stable region like the footer.
Yeah. So the idea was that we will have some dummy, or one of the proposals, dummy bucket region where all the orphan blocks would end up, and then people can rearrange them again. It would just prevent them from being lost totally, and people have to do it from scratch. But yeah.
Yes. So the I think you would call it a bug right now is that if you change layouts and you have custom blocks, those custom blocks can get lost. If they have no place to go in the new layout, they can just disappear. So what I did was change from Boxton to Boxton Hero, which has a hero region. And now I'm putting these blocks that were in that hero region. We save that. So now, there we go. We've got, a number of hero blocks. In my prepared demo, I had some content types with some animal photos in them in a simple view, and I created another block that I dropped in here in between these, and so gradually we were sort of building up a front page here that was a bunch of blocks that stretch across the page with custom content. That's all, you have some control over positioning, size of the windows, color, right out of the all through the UI without having to do any CSS. You can do quite a bit of customization there. But yeah, I won't belabor that right now. Let me skim back to my notes here. This is the big thing that I've been working on, is sort of that ability, this configurable style custom block styles module. If we can get that released, I think that's a really powerful thing. And then having a theme that will sort of by default, like, let the blocks line up. The other thing about, right, with Tatsu was if I go ahead and I narrow this block, the image one, oops, if I do fixed height, I think there might be a minimum height on these, but I'm going to take that down pretty small. It didn't work. But Tatsu is centering these hero images as opposed to starting at the top. So if you have an image that has, it's less likely to get all of the bottom cropped off of it. I think one of the things I'd like to do is just ask if other people have ideas of things that they commonly like to style or change. What we're looking at today. Oh, here's another thing that happens. You'll notice the welcome to VUG Animal House, that text is shifted pretty far to the left here. It's not in what would be normally the container. And this isn't probably the simplest UI, but if I go into style sessions and just add a container class to any block, it's going to use live demos.
Sorry, I missed what you were trying to do to achieve here.
What am I trying to do?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is get the content to line up. See, like where your post is.
Yeah.
Okay, the welcome is outside of that, right? So if I want my content in that top block to sort of line up in the middle, I need to use that container class. And that would normally work. Here's an, with this one, I think if I take the content and align it to the left, that's that's lining up okay. But in theory, in these hero blocks, sometimes we need to add a container class because the block is stretching all the way out to the edge, and you want a hero class on the container, or on the text inside of it, or a container class, so that the text stays in the middle. It doesn't float far to the left. And that usually, that will oftentimes solve that problem.
Maybe that's something that you fixed in Tatu and it's working now.
Yeah. It could, actually, I think it might be in the configurable block module, because I did do something about that. A little bit, not sure why. This was a problem without the container, without the extra, the customizable block styles, is that when I tried to do even hero blocks, is that sometimes they would shift over to the side like this. And that should be, no, that's in the, I was just checking to see if that block is in the right region. So it doesn't like the container class. I think that might just be the hero block that does that. Anyways, these are things, in doing this experimentation, I'm making issues and trying to fix some of these problems. Does anybody else have any ideas of things that they like to do sort of out of the box to fix, to adjust the appearance of their page? I was going to demonstrate one or two layout features that I think are pretty powerful and get forgotten about, but I don't think I have time right now. Mostly the field blocks, right? So we can create, you know, if I had some content ready to go, we can go and create a layout for node pages. And this is like display suites for those of you in Drupal 7. So I'm going to go ahead and create a custom layout quick, and I'm just going to do it for the post, we'll call it posts. And, you know, we could use like the Geary layout. And basically what I do is I say node/%. And actually, even before I do that, right, all blocks in Backdrop, for those who haven't seen this, have these visibility conditions. Okay, I have to, oops. And so you can set, like, I want this block only to show up on the front page. I want this block to only show up on a certain node ID. Now, like node type, this option, visibility condition, is available to me because I picked a path for nodes. Otherwise, that wouldn't have been there by default. And I think this is something that as a beginner, like I have looked for this before, like the node type filter on just a regular block, and not found it, and then realized, oh, you have to set the path to this, and then you can say, okay, I want this to only show up on nodes, page or post. So I'm going to click post. We only want to use this layout for posts. That's it. I'm going to hit save. And now we have a layout that's Backdrop's only going to use this layout for posts. And if I go to add a block, I have field blocks for each different field in that content type. You would not see these field blocks in your list of available blocks if you didn't first set up a layout that was specifically for a post. So I can say, let's put the body. We don't need a label. In the first one, the other thing, most layouts come with a page title. So actually, maybe I should just do this quick. If we go to just the demo post that came out of the box, you can see that the body is put now in the left column. The title is up here on the top of the page. And one of the things I would like is like a contextual link to just take me back to the layout, not the, I have to go to a block and then close the block to get to the layout or go through the upper menu.
There is an existing issue for that.
Is there? Okay. So there is a page title block. And if you notice, there's a page title space in the layout. If I go and turn on this page title block and put that in the middle, the other page title disappears. So the default position of the page title is now gone. I can save this, and now the title of the post is over here. So I think this is a really powerful thing for sort of site builders or site editors in terms of affecting the position or the appearance of their backdrop site, is to use tools like this. And we could do a whole thing on layouts. I'm just going to mention a couple of quick things about them, because I can also do, actually, let me go. This is my first post. So I could do like page specific. If I go back to layouts, I can create a new layout, and I'm going to call it first post. I forget which one I used. I think I'm going to use Geary. I can do the same thing, node percentage. And this time on visibility condition, instead of picking a content type, I'm going to pick a path. And I'm going to list exactly this path. Add visibility condition. So this layout will only be used for this path. I'm going to save this. Oops, did I do that? There we go. And in this one, I'm going to put the title in the first column, in the body, in the second column. So now for all posts, excuse my Slack messages. If we go to the post page, for all other posts, the title would be in the middle column and the body would be in the left. But for this particular post, it's using this other layout with this other configuration. And I'll just mention, let's see, the order. You need to have you want the templates in the order that they're evaluated. So you first want to check if it's the first post and then use that template. And if not, use the generic post template. If I reordered these, I can click reorder and I can change the order. If I did that, my first post layout would never get used, because it would first get to the post layout. So it would say, oh, this qualifies, it's a post. And it would use that layout and it would never even check the second one. So that's just another thing that I've learned and been taught. Does anybody else have any questions or thoughts about some of the things built into Backdrop? There's so many more. And
before, if there would be anything that I would like to see, not for myself, because I don't practically have a special need is for that, is people are like doing Parallax, using Parallax for the sites.
Sure.
So I would like to see even a variation like of basis that allows that. I don't know if it's going to be possible using special regions, because Parallax usually have a full width header-like sort of like layout.
So I haven't experimented with this yet, although I have used this module for Drupal, I think, or an equivalent of it, and it worked pretty good. There is a contrib module for Backdrop called Parallax that should allow you to do Parallax in different themes. So we certainly could build that into a specific theme, but with that contrib module, it doesn't have to be. This is just a list of some. I kind of went through all of the Backdrop modules and just pulled out some that I thought affected sort of the UI or the appearance of the page in some way. And it's fairly arbitrary how I define that. But these aren't like content structure modules. They're things that are some way going to affect the user experience or how the page looks. I haven't tried all of these. I've tried a few of them. Some of them just give you extra blocks that you can use. Like one of them I was testing is a back to top module that just gives you a little arrow as you scroll down. As we scroll down this page, right? If I imagine I had 10 blocks here, it would give a little arrow in the lower right-hand corner to send the user back to the top. So that's a pretty simple module, but it's very very easy to use. The submitted by module. So this is actually above here. I said some things that are in the works, and like configurable layouts. I was thinking about doing a quick demo of that, and maybe we will. But the configurable layouts is basically going to build in core the ability for a user on the layouts page.
I was about to mention that actually,
right?
Because the solutions that I played around with in a few maybe months or years ago with regards to Parallax, they would provide a set amount of regions for the Parallax. So once we get the configurable layout templates, the flexible templates in core, that would give more flexibility to people, as in being able to specify how many horizontal regions their Parallax would like to have, and not limited to a specific hard-coded, so to say, amount.
Sure. So for those who don't know, the way the Backdrop issue queue works is that when somebody has a pull request on a new feature, they link to that in the issue. So in the issue for flexible templates, there's a link to the pull request. And in the pull request, we have sandboxes. And if you want to review or sort of comment on and test out features like this one, you can go to the issue, find the pull request, sort of start at the end of the pull request and go to the most recent sandbox that was created and click on that. And I think I'm already logged into the sandbox. But if we, yep, I am. So normally I'd want the password so I could log in, but because I've been there today, this is a sandbox that contains the work being done on the current flexible features. And what this is going to, flexible features is going to do is we can go to the layouts page, and under the settings tab, we can add a flexible layout. So through the UI, a user can create their own layout that could be for a specific page, for a specific content type, for the front page. There's a bunch of them here already. I'm going to click Add a Flexible VUG, we'll call this. And if we go down to the VUG, we can configure the regions. And it comes with 3 default regions, but we can add our own. So we can add a row, and we can say I want 3 columns. We have a whole bunch of different options on how we want those columns configured. We can custom name our regions. I'm going to go with the defaults, and boom, that region got dropped in here. I can drag and drop that region anywhere I want. I can add another row. Let's just do that. I don't know. So this is going to be a really, really powerful. I think everybody's excited about this feature. And now we can save that template. And now if I go, let's see, I think if I go back to the layouts, here, if we go to add a layout, there's the VUG is now available. The image is not accurate. But let's, actually, we could, oh, no, I'm sorry. if we, for the home page, we could click on Boxton and we could select, let's use the VUG region instead of Boxton for the front page. And then, oops, just didn't click hard enough. Nope. Is that a bug or did it?
Yes, it might be a bug. Looks like
It might be a bug, and this is still in development, so that's reasonable. But now it did actually assign the VUG to the home page. Oh, yeah, we got a bug here. In theory, now I could add blocks to those regions I just created, those flexible regions I just created for the home page.
It's good that the person that is leading that feature is online now.
I should have let him talk about this. Does anybody have any questions? Let me skip back to any other modules or features. The one of the modules I listed in Contrib was allowed for modifying the author date, sort of the submitted by block on content types. And there is a module that currently does that in Contrib, but that's also an issue in core that is coming up that is, I believe there's a pull request and it's just waiting on review. So if anyone wants to help get that into core, go help review this issue. It's in the Google Doc. And we can get that, so it'll be, I think it's per content type. You can set the submitted by message, and you can do a custom date format and all of that. I showed you the contributed configurable block styles module that we're working on in Tatsu. So these are some 4 things that are sort of in the works that are really going to address some of the issues I've been talking about today. I tested out a few of these modules, like the sticky nav module. I want to mention that, like, I found a bug in that as I was testing that, so we're trying to get that fixed. But I think sticky nav is a really common thing that if a user could just right out of the box use a module, identify which header region they want to stick to the top, that would be a pretty powerful thing. There is a CSS Injector module for Backdrop, which I have, I don't like to use myself, but if you're a site manager or a site editor that knows a little bit about CSS but doesn't want to mess with themes, I don't know how stable this module is in Backdrop. I know a lot of people use it in Drupal, but this allows you, the site editor, to do a little bit of CSS right through the UI. And it, as a themer, I hate people when people use that module, because when I come to fix a theme and I don't know they're using that module, the CSS that they've injected overrides my work and gets very confusing and frustrating. I'll mention this again, like the availability. One of the things I did at the beginning, I'm going to click on this, is I created a spreadsheet of all the available Google themes or Backdrop themes that are currently listed on backdrop.org. I don't think Tatsu is listed here yet, although it is available on backdrop.org. It's not very stable, but I did this list before I did it, and it has links to screenshots for every theme, and it's like when it was released, latest released. And I was just trying to get an overview of what was sort of available, like how many modules we have that provide lesser support theme, how many have color module support. Very few have color module support. There's a number of them that have it in theory, but it's broken. I think that's because they were developed before there have been big improvements in the color module since those themes were made. But the spreadsheet is linked to, if you want to sort of look through and get a glance at all of the Contrib themes. I'm hoping that this information will help spur some folks to help develop new Contrib themes. Any other? This has been an unusual virtual user group meeting, and then I'm talking so much. I'd like to be quiet and have other people share some thoughts. Let's get back to the Hangout. I'm going to turn off my screen share so I'm not tempted to keep
demoing. Yeah. So yeah, there's a discussion in the chat that says that the sandbox for the flexible layouts just needed a reboot, and Document forgot to do that. That's why the bug was there, most likely.
Well, it might be, although like several days ago, the whole wasn't working at all. So I think somebody has. Well, Jeff did it again, but like over the weekend, I think you couldn't use it at all, and now I could at least use it. So.
Okay.
Kurt, are you still there? Can I pick on you? Did you see anything helpful today?
Yes, I did, and you can pick on me. I'm still here.
Okay.
As I look at this, it's a little bit different than what I'm used to doing.
Right.
But it looks to me like it's workable. So I need to get my hands dirty a little bit and crank up a site and try to put some content in it, create some content types and some views, and look at how I would go about styling them. Some things that I want are definitely there, handling for hero images and things like that. That's a big deal these days. I'm kind of wondering, when you are taking and creating regions that are like multiple columns, do they automatically stack as the screen gets narrower?
Yes, they do actually. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So this feature is coming up on the next version of in the next version of Backdrop, which is to be released on September 15th. Look out for it. Yeah,
the flexible, right? The configurable layouts. We hope that will be ready then, and it's on good track for that. Yeah. So, Kurt, we should point out that what I was showing, sort of the things I was working through today, were pretty layout heavy, because this is through the UI. It's one of the most powerful features that say a site editor has to affect the appearance of their site. A lot of these same things could be done with, in the theme with template files, although, if you were a themer, that might be the way you prefer to do some of that. The layout system is like the biggest change, I think, from Drupal 7 to Backdrop. It's the hardest thing to get used to and wrap your head around. So when you say things look really different, I think we were looking at the most different thing in Backdrop today.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I've become very, very used to working with Omega layout regions, and then taking and modifying CSS as I need to. There's a program for Drupal, I know it's in 7, it may have been in 6, called Live CSS. Mm-hmm. That is extremely useful, because it gives you an editor, a text editor, if you will, access to all of the CSS files that are on a particular page. And you can go in and edit the CSS and see the changes immediately, save them if you want, refresh them out if you don't. And I found that to be very powerful as I take and meet my particular needs for something.
Was that a contrib module that was available, or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Live CSS.
Okay, that's interesting.
And it worked particularly well when you've got themes. Going way back, I used a number of themes that were from a fellow called, can't think of his name right now. His real name was Bill. He put out a number of themes for Drupal 5 and 6 that I kind of liked. And one of the things all of his themes did was they had an empty CSS file toward the end of the list that allows you to do customization. And Omega sort of does that. And I've kind of liked that way of working with things.
We have done virtual user groups on creating themes in the past. They were a little sort of ad hoc discussions, more so than demos, but I recommend looking at those if you're interested. Although there was one, we did get a demo on the Atomium theme, which is that, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Yep. But that's like if you're a themer and you're looking for an interesting base theme with some interesting features, I can't describe, I mean, it has some interesting features to it, and I recommend checking that video because it kind of describes how that works. But that's not a UI tool, that's a themer tool and sort of a starter kit.
Yep.
And I definitely recommend looking at that.
I did look at your beacon site, and I was very impressed with the way it looked and worked. And I could sort of take that and, mentally translate that into the site that I'm going to be working on soon in Backdrop.
Good.
Yeah, and just remember, if you're stuck anywhere, just Gitter is a good place to sort of like get quick answers. If there's things that you think that it might require a little bit more elaborate discussion over it and what should happen, then the forums is a good place. Just start a topic there. And if you see that there's not much activity, usually team is very diligent with watching what's going on in the forum. Just hop on Gitter and say, hey guys, I've asked this, can you please respond? The reason why we prefer the forum is that because answers to such questions are more future-proof, like they stay there without being swallowed in the warp of time.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have any questions or things they want to share? I think we could go back to that discussion we were having at the beginning. Otherwise,
which one are you referring to?
So I'm actually going to share my screen again. The one about the modifying the menu, like through a hook, a theme install. So like Jeff, if you're out there listening, this is me selfishly using the user group to get some advice on how to fix some of these things. So I'm going to hit screen share again. I think I just have to wait a second. Oh, no, there we go. So my idea in Tatsu was what's going on? Oh, that's on the back, or that was on the demo site. Oh, I am gonna do a quick plug for this. We've mentioned, if you don't know about this, we got this demo button on the front page of backdrop.org. This is amazing fast. Spin up a backdrop demo site, and it's a great way to try things out in core. I just want to, like, that's how fast it installs. That takes like 2 minutes in my Lando. Boom, you're there to this stage in just a few seconds. Super cool. But going back to my theme, what I wanted to be able to do is in the theme was to turn off the, to modify the settings for this header block. And I was thinking that the way to do it would be like a hook install for a theme. And I tested that and realized that that doesn't work. I could create a module which changes the configuration, updates the config files about what is the default menu here, and that would turn off the primary block. But if I want this all to happen through the theme, like what is the next best way to do that? And I got some, I figured out how to create a setting. So my current version of Tatsu on the settings page, it's not going to show here, has a block that says what do you want to use in, which menu do you want in your header block? And you can choose between whichever menu is available. So you can, I can have the default be the main menu instead of the user menu. The problem with that, so I can do that, that's all great, except that now I have 2 different places to configure that block, because the block, if you go to the layouts and you go to the block, it also has the configuration there, and that doesn't seem like good usability. So I don't know, one of my thoughts is it possible to just turn off that configuration in the block if I'm using, if I'm setting it here on the setting page?
So I think,
go ahead.
If you look in the Slack, in the chat thing, I provided a link. Can you please open that in the browser? That's from a Drupal d.org issue.
Okay,
So this was a D8
Mm-hmm.
issue that was closed as a one fix. But if you look at the second paragraph there in the problem motivation thing that says original related issue, see how it has a ticket number there? If you copy and paste that on the URL, you will go to the original issue
Okay.
without the hashtag thing.
Yeah, sure. I'll get rid of that.
Yeah, so this was fixed in D8 early on, like in 8.0.
Mm-hmm.
There with it.
There we go.
And that guy in the other issue mentioned that having .install capabilities, like allowing themes to fire installation hooks,
Mm-hmm.
was in the initial incarnation of what was the fix for this issue that we're looking at now.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, they didn't do it. Anyway, the point is that I don't see any in the tags of these issues. I don't see any requires backport to D7.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never even considered to sort of like backport those features. And my point is that inherently we do not have, as far as I know, the ability to trigger configuration changes by enabling things. We did change things. I don't remember the issue number by heart now, but we did in a recent version of Backdrop allow for themes to fire uninstall hooks, like do something during an installation. So maybe this needs to be a follow-up on changing the behavior. And there's a lot of linked tickets. So as I said, I'm preparing a summary. I'm not sure it will sort of like provide solutions, but it will at least provide some insight and some battle plan to implement certain things. But I don't see why along the way we couldn't allow enabling a theme to trigger some configuration. Now that I think about it, I understand why it was not implemented in Drupal 7, because there was no configuration in Drupal 7, I guess. We do have configuration in Backdrop.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah, point is that
Yep.
this is a core limitation and it needs to be worked on before you're able to do that.
Well, right. In order to do it that way, I think there are workarounds, like I'm saying. I mean, I could control the setting in the theme, and I can set the default in the theme, and then I could, a really hacky solution would be just to in the theme to hide
Yes.
the configuration in the block, so that
you have everything. Yeah.
So that's super hacky. Now, I would think there would also be a way to just sort of use a hook form modifier, or hook form alter, whatever. I'm not good with the hooks, but I might be able to alter the form for the block so that that configuration option is not available.
Yeah.
So I think there are some hacky ways around it, and I'm looking for ideas if anybody.
Yeah, as you said, it's probably going to be workarounds until something like that gets actually implemented.
Sure. Yes.
And with this specific use case, though, I'm not sure if you would like to sort of like, I guess if people use that specific theme and they know that it implements such and such feature, they would sort of like know what they're getting into. But some of the things that you were doing were sort of like distractive, as in messing with the layouts.
Right.
Maybe it needs a little bit more thought. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a blocker, but just a little bit more thought.
I mean, I mean, right. The kinds of solutions I'm looking at right now, that's the downside to them, is that they change the way that you would, if you went from one site to another, now it's changing the way you would configure what menu put in the block. I'd rather be able to just change the default, but have somebody be able to change it back in the way they expect.
Yes.
Right. That's a better solution. But
yeah, my point was that even if the install hooks worked, they did what you actually did manually there, they would do it automatically. But when you uninstall the theme, they would need to put things back as they were, because imagine the use case of a person trying different themes.
Right.
They use your theme, then it messes their layout configuration, and when they switch to another theme, they don't have the blocks that you just removed.
So the other workaround to this, right, is to have a module that goes with the theme that has install and uninstall hooks, and make that dependent on the theme.
Yeah, which makes another point that I haven't tested it out, but I don't think that you can add a module as a requirement in the .info file of themes.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
okay.
See how when you try to enable a module, if you have a line in your .info file that says dependencies equals that module X, and then it doesn't allow you to enable it, I don't think that this works. It needs verification and needs someone to confirm that, but I don't think that it works the same in themes.
Okay. We should wrap up. We've been going about an hour. We started late, so I let us run late. But one last chance for, well, our next user group, there was some interest in doing and talking about tests, writing tests for Backdrop, and that felt a little advanced-y to me. I suggested the next topic be just contributing to Backdrop, and then that we have the beginner and advanced portions of it, and towards the end we do the we talk about writing tests. Anyway, so that's our tentative topic for next month. If anybody has other suggestions, let me know. Any other final words or questions?
Thank you for putting this together.
What?
Thank you for putting this together, for organizing this. Yeah.
Good. My apologies. I actually had a site all set up with test content, and I had practiced it, and then everything went to crap right before we launched. So
yeah, things will go wrong when they can.
Okay. But we're getting better at this, getting better every time we do it. Okay, we're going to log off. I'm going to disconnect, stop the broadcast. Bye now.